live here from Terok Nor, space station of Cardassian design built in orbit in the world of Bajor. We are here today with not quite the kind of the elimination matches here for WTL Season 5 Summer Code A. We have 2 matches lined up for us, and I am today your host, Yaku of Yakuzaku. With me is El Cultivador Herido, que usa la bala en el espectáculo de ajedrez. Light _ VIP. How are we doing, Light?
What's up, Yaku? It is great to be back, not just for WTL, but also, Yaku, we haven't been able to cast together in a very long time. It's been weeks. It's been maybe a month.
Yep.
So I appreciate that you've been able to be a part of at least this edition of WTL, because this is an important one. As you said, not quite elimination, but the winners of these series are confirmed into Code S.
Yeah, the losers of the series have one final shot tomorrow to try to make it in, but the winners today, they can rest easy. They, are still going to play on the rest of the Code A because, of course, there's quite a bit of money on the line. But regardless, they will be qualified for Code S.
Definitely. And in the top left-hand corner of Babylon, we have representing Berserker Esports, DIMAGA.
And down here over in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, starting all the way in the bottom right-hand corner, everybody get on your knees, representing Platinum Heroes, it's Vindicta.
On my knees. For Mix to please, Poppy. Let's go. Let's go
indeed. I forgot what it was like to cast from a clean feed. I had a whole thing prepared here, but I was like, we're starting.
Yeah, exactly. We are just going right into it. And for those wondering, of course, we are here starting off with Berserker Esports versus Platinum Heroes. And I'm excited because Platinum Heroes, I don't know what's been going on, but they have been refusing to field a Vindicta. He has been on the sidelines for the entire qualifier as well as Code A until now. This is his debut in WTL representing Platinum Heroes.
They were waiting for the most important match of Platinum Heroes. They were waiting for who I would consider to be one of the strongest teams, or one of the closest in skill levels to Platinum Heroes as well. They need that wild card. They need that star player. And that's why Vindicta is being fielded out first.
Yeah, the ace comes. The ace of Platinum Heroes comes out first. And Vindicta has been training in that hyperbolic time chamber. He has been getting ready for his WTL run. And this is a pretty good matchup for him. He's going up against Zerg, not Protoss. So the smudging will not be happening here. Not yet. Not today. Not from Vindicta, at least.
Yeah. And I'm going to have to double check here, but I don't believe... No, they are going to be fielding Spatz later on. Berserker Esports is.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, there is definitely a potential if both of them are fielded in potentially the ace match, but I'm sure neither team is really hoping it's going to come to that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Spatz has proven himself to be the ace player of Berserker Esports. We saw his rise, and we also saw him, his kind of debut in WTL as well for his team. Has been putting in a lot of work for Berserker Esports, but before that happens, we are here in this ZVT, and we have some pretty standard openers from the side of the Zerg, and yeah, Vindicta is just going to be poking and prodding here with his Reaper back at home. Likewise, a relatively standard opener as well with that 3cc.
30cc before Starport coming out from Vindicta. Do appreciate that, he's not really going for anything too out of the ordinary here, nothing too experimental, as of course, DIMAGA is a player who you never really know what he has planned.
Yeah, he's a very old school player, but with kind of that age comes experience as well. And DIMAGA, he has been competing for a very long time. We have been casting him recently in our own tournaments in OSC King of the Hill, and DIMAGA's actually been getting some really surprising results. I believe it was earlier in WTL, he actually took a game off of, I want to say Creator. He took a game off of Creator, which was insane. Like, we really didn't expect that to happen. So yeah, DIMAGA's been getting some really impressive results as well.
Oh yeah. It's definitely someone you can count on to He's definitely someone you can count on to try to take out and to try to snipe an ace player here and there, when he really has time to study his opponents and when he can really prepare against them.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and we'll see how he does here. For the time being, we do see that that third CC before Starport going into that Cloak Banshee play. So again, very standard stuff from Vindicta. This is all, for the most part, confirmed by DIMAGA as well. He sees the Hellions. He should be fully aware to prepare himself for Banshees eventually. But even if he's prepared for it, it's going to be on Vindicta to try and pull apart his opponent, try and find an opening with his group of Hellions and also with his group of Banshees.
Yeah, this is just going to be a pretty standard scouting force, trying to do a little bit of harassment damage. We don't see any armories or the like, and anyway, Vindicta's researching Stim, so yeah, there shouldn't be too dedicated of a follow-up coming here.
Yeah, and I'm personally glad because we have seen Migs play mech before. Like,
oh yeah.
He can do it if he needs to. Thankfully, we're on Babylon, not the best map for mech, so he's going to be saving that for later on in the series, I imagine, if he ever needs to whip out the mech. And if he does, I appreciate it because Vindicta plays a very active style of mech. In general, he has a very high multitasking, high APM kind of way of playing Terran, which is always fun to watch.
Indeed, and especially in a TVZ.
Oh, yeah. Definitely, as we do see a group of Hellions, again, just kind of poking here on the edge of creep, looking for a way, and the Banshees do reveal themselves at the natural, but they don't really find too much damage. At least the Banshees have survived, so they can always go in again to, poke and prod. Meanwhile, from DIMAGA, we see, again, a pretty standard setup. His fourth is a little bit delayed, but in the delay of that fourth, he's already working on his lair, and he's going pure Ling Bane for the time being, working on those Evo upgrades.
Yeah, nice and versatile unit composition coming out here from DIMAGA. Focusing a lot on his macro. Lair isn't done just yet, but he's pretty much just keeping his options open as much as possible for the time being.
Yeah, he's only taken 4 gases, so I'm really curious if he's going to go Ling Bane into Hive, or if he plans to diversify his composition and go into either Hydras or Mutas. I mean, again, we'll keep an eye on the gases to see if he is going to tech up a little bit further. Before that happens, though, again, we have 26 more Lings on the way. He's playing very Ling Bane heavy. We have a Macro Hatch on the way as well. For the most part, though, the game has been relatively passive. Vindicta hasn't tried to commit or overcommit into any kind of run-bys or any kind of mineral lines.
Yeah, for the time being, but I'm just keeping my eye on that production tab light. I see +1 about to finish up here for Migs. I see Stim did finish up a while ago as well. We got tanks on the way, we've got medevacs on the way, and we are getting pretty dang close to that +1 Terran push.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I have to be a little bit critical of DIMAGA right now because Vindicta is working on his push, and look at the worker counts. DIMAGA hasn't really been droning. Again, his 4th was late. He hasn't been taking advantage of how passive Vindicta has been. And because of that, Vindicta is actually in a pretty good economic position as he moves out. There is going to be a lot of army to meet him, so it is going to come down to this big fight.
Yeah, I'm definitely liking the amount of Ling Bane that DIMAGA has right now. If Vindicta does commit to a push, I think DIMAGA should at the very least be able to stall him long enough to not, for it to not be an issue for him. But Vindicta doesn't have to push. Like you said,
yeah.
DIMAGA wasn't playing anywhere near as greedy as he could have been. So Vindicta isn't really feeling too pressured to really do any damage yet.
Yeah, I mean, DIMAGA has a massive army. He's got you can see it on the minimap, he's got so much Ling Bane right now. That's what he was focusing on instead of his economy, and Vindicta has to be very careful as a result. He cannot push out into it. If he does, his army will get crushed.
Just like so.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, Vindicta, he unsieges, he turns back around, he comes back home, he's going to be chilling instead, and as a result, he's not going to be losing any kind of major lead for the time being.
Yeah, for now, at any rate. 4th base has just finished up. He's going to pick up and try to land it in a position. DIMAGA already waiting here for him, but we already have a couple of tanks, so these Lings aren't really going to be doing much to deny base.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, thankfully, because Vindicta turned around and went back home, DIMAGA's kind of hurting himself in a way. Like, as the game goes on longer, Vindicta will have a larger army. He will have a more efficient army at that. DIMAGA was hoping to trade. He was hoping for Vindicta to push into him and push into creep, and that just never really happened.
Yeah, he didn't need to.
Mhm.
Vindicta just clearing up whatever creep he can, poking and prodding, as a Terran player is wont to do in this situation. Just doesn't have to commit to any big pushes yet.
Yeah,
DIMAGA,
exactly.
I think he's kind of realized this though, as he is just starting to get us a lot more expansions.
Yeah, there we go. We do have a 5th and 6th base on the way for DIMAGA. Kind of as you were saying, thankfully, again, Vindicta, he's able to abuse the fact that DIMAGA for a very long time didn't have any anti-air, just pure Ling Bane. So this drop play is, again, very efficient. We shouldn't really be losing too much, but a Hydra Den was just thrown down, so DIMAGA is finally taking up. He also has a Hive on the way.
I'm ready for the Lunkers.
We may get there, as we do see a couple of banelings rolling on in. They do take out the tank, but not the most efficient of trade from DIMAGA. He did end up crashing his banelings into it.
Yeah, I mean, he needed to clear up supply anyway. Oof, that was a pretty good trade for DIMAGA. It's going to put a stop to that drop harass for at least the time being.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but of course, DIMAGA did just need to clear up some supply. He is now getting a couple of Vipers. I don't think he's actually made that many Hydralisks, now that I think about it. I think he actually just remade Lings and Banes.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, he only has Ling Bane Viper for the time being. I mean, we'll see if he has any anti-air. Vindicta, he's going to be pushing on forward. He himself has maxed out, and this is what I was worried about earlier. Now we're at 200 supply. Both armies are about to collide here, and depending on how the engagements go, this can go well for Vindicta if he's looking.
I just realized those Hellions at the start of the game never died.
Yeah.
So Vindicta's just, utilizing them however he can, utilizing those Hellbats to clear up some of that Ling buffer, focusing only on the Banelings.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Meanwhile, now that some Ling Bane did just die, we can rebuild or start making some of those Hydralisks, so we have a little bit more anti-air. What about shot?
Ooh! So juicy, connecting with just about every single Baneling, and the Banelings that didn't connect with that Widowmine, he just targeted them down. Lings, at this point in the game, yeah, they're not really going to do anything against 3-3, or I guess both players are still at 2-2 against these upgraded Marines. Finally, we have some Hydras being thrown into the mix.
Before that happens, we have a tri-pronged attack, by the way. We have a double drop towards the south, we had a double drop into the main, and we have another drop on the right-hand side of the map as well. One hatchery does go down, and the majority of this bio army is going to be saved. So Vindicta is pulling DIMAGA apart, and killing these hatcheries is pretty important. That is going to eat into his production and his ability to remax an army.
Yeah, no matter how mobile Ling Bane really is as a unit composition, those units cannot be at 2, let alone 3 places at the same time.
Exactly. We have a Liberator rocking up through the middle as well. It looks like Vindicta, he's getting ready for a push. 3-3 is on the horizon, and that is going to be a very powerful timing for the Terran.
Really is. DIMAGA will finish up 3-3 at around the same time, so that definitely complicates things, but again, overall, I'm just liking Vindicta's army way more. There are no lurkers. There are only a handful of Hydras, and only one Viper of any energy on it.
Yeah, exactly. The splits are pretty damn good. The Widowmine shots are good as well. We saw a kill, not a cancel on the base on the right-hand side of the map. And towards the left, Vindicta, he just continues to push.
Yeah. Hasn't really taken too many casualties over there. Another great Widowmine shot, mostly on Lings. But Vindicta can just pick up and leave once the Banelings stroll in. While this is going on, he also has a couple of medevacs to the north, it seems. So I think they're empty.
Yeah, there's some red dots out there.
Oh, no. never mind.
I saw the dot as well, and I was like, oh, is that another drop? Nah, just some changing puppies, don't worry about it. But we have a couple of ghosts coming in. The Viper!
Get sniped immediately by the ghosts. And again, that's the only Viper that DIMAGA has. There will be no blinding clouds. There will be no parasitic bombs for this upcoming fight. Not that many tanks, though, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, exactly. We need more Widowmines. We need more tanks. We need more splash damage because the Ling Bane is rolling on forward. Vindicta, he's spread a little bit too thin. A lot of his supply is towards the north of the map instead. Ooh.
Yeah, overall, very efficient trade coming out from Vindicta. He even keeps the mineral line and the planetary fortress alive, but DIMAGA, he has a bank, has a lot of hatcheries, he can rebuild so quickly. Vindicta is going to have to get ready and survive another wave.
How did Vindicta only lose 3 SCVs? I saw the Banelings roll into the mineral line. Like, I saw them roll in, but I guess Vindicta was too quick to pull his SCVs away, and they only connected with the planetary, and the planetary didn't even die. So somehow, Vindicta comes out ahead in that fight. He wants to go for another one. Widowmine shots are going to go off.
Yeah, a little bit of friendly fire there, unfortunately for Vindicta. DIMAGA finds himself a bit of an opening. Oh, that's not the most efficient trade for those Banelings. Tanks are getting a couple of free shots off, and now the Banelings are not going to be able to kill the planetary fortress. Neo Steel Frame just finished up, by the way, so that wasn't a factor into this planetary fortress. Finally, it goes down to the Lings.
It took a lot. It took a lot for the planetary to go down, as well as the 23 SCVs that were here. That is going to be a big blow to the economy of Vindicta, but he made DIMAGA work for it, and now he doesn't really have too much of a bank. You can see DIMAGA has some minerals, but he is out of gas.
Yeah, he's remaking as many Banelings as he can, but 20 Banelings against all of these Widow Mines, against a planetary fortress, potentially. I still want to give the advantage to Vindicta here. He just has a much larger army.
Yeah, and you know what? He's making more of these Widow Mines as well. We do see DIMAGA trying to bait some of them out. His creep has been pretty good. Creep is now exceeding the halfway point across the map, but Vindicta, he's going back to what works, and that is drop play.
Oh yeah, and he's gonna upgrade that drop play as well with the medevac upgrades that I have. That I don't think anybody remembers what it's called.
Afterburners?
Afterburners.
Yeah.
Something afterburners. There we go.
It's like pre-ignited. It's something like, we'll read it. Oh my god, a massive massive Widow Mine shot will go off again. This is a very stylistic move of Vindicta. He loves his drop play, and he's one of the few Terrans that actually does get this upgrade.
Yeah. It was a major factor into why we decided to sign him back in the day.
Oh, true. Can you read that, by the way, Yaku?
Something, because I know the 2 horizontal lines is 2.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, 1 horizontal line is 1. 3 horizontal lines is 3. But 4 is a box.
Yeah, 4 is not, that's not a word. That's the... But here we go. The Ling Bane rolling on forward on the right-hand side. Instead, Widow Mine shots do go off once again, detonating with the Ling Bane.
The absolute MVP unit of this entire game for Vindicta has been these Widow Mines. Although the planetary fortresses and the tanks have been putting in their fair share, that 4th base does go down, though. And that's definitely going to hurt Vindicta a lot. You can see that he is starting to float some of his previous orbital commands over to rebuild, to sort of rebuild over there. But surprisingly, he's still maxed out.
He is still maxed out. Again, that means that base won't be a planetary, so it's going to be a little bit vulnerable to a future attack. Meanwhile, the Widow Mines did survive. Shots are going to be going off, and they are barely going to connect with some of that Ling Bane. So meanwhile, towards the left-hand side, DIMAGA getting distracted by that lib.
All of the Hydras were pushing towards this 4th base location. This Liberator is going to continue to be completely uncontested. A bunch more Hydras are being produced right now. But that is not that is not how you want to be spending your gas at this point if you're DIMAGA.
It really is not. Meanwhile, we still have these dropped active on the right-hand side as well. DIMAGA struggling to gain some ground here. But he does have control of his bases. He doesn't have the best economy, though. Because that, he's still struggling to remax. And now, Vindicta, he's pushing out here once again onto Creep.
He just sniped a Baneling, because why the hell not?
And what else are you going to snipe? What else is there? There's no Lunkers, Papi. There's no Lunkers. There's no Hive Tech units.
Which is surprising, honestly. DIMAGA went up to Hive. He got 3-3 melee. I didn't even notice that he hasn't been getting ranged upgrades. And he got 1 Viper, and that was it. To be fair, I guess the drop play that disrupted his economy does mean that he is struggling a little bit to get a Lurker Den or an Ultra Cabin or anything like that, but still. He's been on Hive for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, Lingbane Hydra can scale into the late game depending on what kind of unit composition you're up against. It is very flexible, very mobile, but I 100% agree. Vipers would still be an invaluable asset here to parasitic bomb the medevacs or even go for some blinding clouds on top of these tanks that have been a nuisance. Meanwhile, once again, the minefield, a little bit of friendly fire towards the end, but like these tanks have been cash money here, especially behind those rocks.
All of that blood, man. That's beautiful. The friendly fire rate, yeah. It's pretty high. 0% for DIMAGA.
0%, mate. Meanwhile, every single Baneling just went down here on the left-hand side. More Banelings are being morphed in as we speak, but there is going to be a moment here where DIMAGA is going to be a little bit vulnerable. Vindicta trying desperately to clean up this creep so he can take another base.
Yeah, and this may just be the key to victory here for DIMAGA. If he can continue to deny the bottom left and the top right bases here for Vindicta, eventually he's going to run out of money.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And you can see DIMAGA trying to sneak out a base towards the top right-hand corner of the map, but no, it is going to be denied. Vindicta is going to be looking to take this expansion. It's going to be difficult, though. This is a very exposed base. It's all on its own towards the top right. Same with the bottom left. Like, it can be really difficult to hold on to these bases.
Oh. Yeah, oof. You definitely tell Vindicta is used to the game ending before it gets to that point, but he's still putting on quite a show here. I mean, he just killed even more drones for DIMAGA, and DIMAGA does not have enough of a bank where he can start sacrificing workers to get more army. Once again, just trading super efficiently.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but he was actually doing a great job at sniping those Banelings one after another with his army. And now here we go. DIMAGA is going to be committing with everything he has. He is catching those transferring workers. Yeah,
and it's actually putting in even more of a dent in Vindicta's economy. Although Vindicta hasn't neglected building planetary orbital commands, though.
He hasn't, but it looks like this base may just barely be broken. Vindicta has some more army, but it's still making its way across the map, and DIMAGA has broken through into the mineral line.
Yeah, 21 SCVs are now going down. Mules can mitigate that a little bit, but DIMAGA is making sure that Vindicta just never has a chance to spend that energy. That was a very high energy orbital command. It was painful to watch it go down as Terran player light.
Yeah, exactly. Vindicta is running out of steam, but so is DIMAGA. Both players are really struggling right now. You can see they can't max out again.
They cannot max out again, but DIMAGA is only making lings.
Exactly. He is broke. He needs more of these gases on his fresh bases. You can even see on the minimap he didn't take those gases, and as a result, he can only really work with minerals.
And minerals, unfortunately, ain't gonna cut it. This is a good surround with all these lings, but it's 33 Marines plus support from this Liberator. They're all gonna go down, and I don't think even a single Baneling connected.
Wow, we thought maybe DIMAGA finally broke through and got one of these bases of Vindicta and broke his economy, but no, it's going to be Vindicta. The nuke! There's no reaction! Up!
Oh, the cloak!
Oh, the cloak!
Right at the end! Will save that ghost. Thankfully, DIMAGA moves all of these drones away, but oh man, that was close.
Oh my god. Meanwhile, this base is being mined by both teams. Unfortunately, Vindicta, he was rallying his reinforcements to the bottom left-hand corner of the map. He's going to be catching those drones, but he doesn't have a lot on the right-hand side. Does he have enough here? Only Lings, no Banelings to support.
Yeah. And these Marines, they are being supported by the medevacs. The medevacs are starting to run out of energy. I do like that Migs is keeping these SCVs alive, because he knows he can't afford to remake them.
Yeah, exactly. They are picked up in those medevacs. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, the fresh base has been broken. One of the most crucial mining bases of DIMAGA is going down, and you can see he barely has anything left to work with. DIMAGA has just been too wasteful, too inefficient with these fights, especially with a Lingbane Hydra army, an army that is, not designed to go this late into the game, and we see why, because of how inefficient it can be. Yeah,
not against Bioterran at the very least. 2 Hydras, it's the only anti-air that DIMAGA has at this point. It's all the anti-air that he can afford. These drops, or potential for drops, are going to do a whole lot. Another pretty inefficient use of Banelings crashing into Marauders more than anything else, and DIMAGA's out of gas.
Yep.
GG is called. Vindicta is going to take game number 1 of this. I cannot believe I hit S. This best of 2 game in this match. Well played. Set.
Yeah, it is a best of 2 series between these players. Vindicta does take the first game. Over time, it was almost like a battle of attrition. Both players were constantly at each other's throats. It was a slugfest there, but we saw that DIMAGA just wasn't trading efficiently whatsoever. He just kept taking some bad Widowmine shots, or the focus firing from Vindicta was just a little bit too good, and DIMAGA never really took additional gases. We saw him at the end run out of gas, both figuratively and literally as well. He just couldn't keep producing more Banelings and more Hydras.
Yeah, I wish we could have a chance to interview him or something, because it's a really interesting choice that he made to go Lingbane into Hive Tech very, very early on, get his upgrades, but then just not utilize that Hive Tech afterwards. It seemed that DIMAGA really just wanted to end the game with... He really just wanted to get the strongest possible Lings and Banes as possible, as quickly as possible, and then end the game from that point on. Maybe just a little bit uncomfortable with late game tech. It's
definitely possible. I mean, the thing to bear in mind is that at a certain point, neither player could really breathe, because once the action started, the game started slow, but then when action started, it didn't stop. And it's possible that, if you remember, DIMAGA did make 1 Viper. It's possible, because Vipers take a long time to make, and also you have to gather energy on them as well. He just never felt like he had the freedom to make any more. And because of that, he wasn't able to really have as efficient of his army as he otherwise would have. And here in the top right-hand corner for Berserker Esports is the man himself, is DIMAGA.
And over here in the bottom left-hand corner, representing Platinum Heroes, everybody get on your knees for Mix to Please.
Let's go. And speaking of, I want to give a massive shout-out as well. As we are going to be continuing on here in this series, we are... Yeah, this is only game 2. Unfortunately, even if DIMAGA does take this, it's not going to be it's not going to go to the ace match, which is a bit smooth.
Yeah. Wait, what? Oh, wait. No, I mean, there's still 2 more sets after this.
It's true. It is true. Also, I was just confirming. Yes, thank you so much, Baby Links, for the raid. We appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Hope you had a great ladder session. Hope you had a great stream, as you've made it here just in time.
Hope you didn't starve.
Hope you didn't starve, as we are going to be getting ready here for our second game, and that was a pretty intense first one.
Oh, yeah. Right, I think you described it perfectly in sort of that post-game breakdown. Once the action began, it never stopped, and the action began pretty early on with a +1 timing push coming out from Vindicta. And yeah, it just became a battle of DIMAGA making more Lings and more Banelings to try to prevent Vindicta from getting any more momentum, and even though he was able to halt Vindicta at times, DIMAGA himself wasn't quite able to turn that around and really push into Vindicta. We saw non-stop drop action happening after that, and DIMAGA having to react to all of that while also trying to tech up at the same time, which isn't easy whatsoever.
It really isn't. And this is where I have to, again, be a little bit critical of DIMAGA. We mentioned it in game 1, how he was so adverse to droning and taking bases. He either misread the situation, or he just maybe studied some VODs and expected Vindicta to be more aggressive early on and to kind of ape into him, right? But as soon as Vindicta kind of noticed that there was a pretty large army, he just backed off. He didn't have to fight.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it is the fact that DIMAGA, he is a player who does his homework. I wouldn't be surprised if he did study a bunch of Vindicta's VODs. I think he was expecting Vindicta to be a lot more aggressive than he actually was. And to be fair, Vindicta was pretty dang aggressive in the mid-game with his drops, but when it came time to the initial push, Vindicta was very, very restrained compared to how he normally plays CVZ.
Yeah, exactly. And because of that, Vindicta, he got into the mid game and into the late game in a really good position. Like, his economy was on par, if not better than DIMAGA's, which is not something you see too often in this matchup. So, yeah, he was able to just, take advantage of that over time and able to overcome DIMAGA. But now we are on a much larger map, a map where it can be a little bit easier for a Zerg player to be greedy.
Yeah. And let's not forget, this was DIMAGA's choice.
Oh yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's I'm not gonna smooch.
It's like, man, you barely landed, right? Do you have an opinion on these maps? I don't know. Maybe just near humanity.
I have an opinion on these maps. They're not very informed opinions on these maps. I did actually ladder yesterday.
Oh.
On Ancient System, it was a TBZ. And based on that one game I played, I think that's the only game I can remember playing on this map. I'm going to say it's Zerg favored.
I mean, that is a bit of a consensus in this matchup. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but Vindicta did change up his opener. This time, he actually went for a straight-up 1-1-1. He delayed his third CC, and he's throwing it down now. So he's going to be a little bit more aggressive. We can see right now he's continuing to pump out Hellions, and he does have a Liberator on the way as well.
Vindicta is a man of culture is what he is.
Oh.
Going for Viking into a Liberator with some Hellion support. Only making 4? Did he make? Yeah, I believe it's only 4 Hellions, which is interesting. Yeah, he made 2. 4 and then... Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah. Earlier, he did dive in with 2 Hellions. A little bit of a risky maneuver. He just dove straight into the natural, but he did end up losing them, and he only got a single drone kill. So, as a result, he won't have as many Hellions to maintain map control here. Because that, he has to be a lot more conservative with them.
Yeah, he's really not unlikely to find an opportunity to really dive into a mineral line with these Hellions. So, at the very least, he can still clear up creep, and that's going to be the sole duty of these Hellions for the time being. Actually, I say that, but he's also distracting a lot of Queens. This Liberator could get a lot of damage done.
Yeah, it is able to get a hit off on that Queen, but DIMAGA is quick to respond. Thankfully, Vindicta, also quick to respond, is able to save that Liberator and use it, save it for a later time when we do have a little bit more chaos on the map.
Yeah. Observer just showed off that Liberator, and there we go. Yeah. I was waiting for it to re-siege when all of the drones transferred over to that third base. I was like, do it, Mix, do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah, and even here, one more drone kill. They do slowly add up over time. As Vindicta's getting his third base up and running, we're going to have a bit of a timing with 1-1 stim and combat shields as well. And DIMAGA, likewise, is also doing his due diligence as he takes his 4th and gets his macro hatchery.
Oh, I didn't even realize the macro hatchery. Yeah, so it looks like he is going to continue to stick with Lingbane into Hive this time. But, like you said, on Ancient Cistern, I imagine it's going to be working out a lot better for him. Vindicta will take a little bit longer to really get his drop harass into position, and so DIMAGA might be feeling less pressured, might be able to just get his Hive tech.
Oh. Yeah, but you know what? Here we go. The Banelings do rolling in. They do connect with the Hellions. What am I shot? I guess... Oh, he's retargeting!
Oh, so close.
He wanted a connection on the Lingbane, not on the Queens, but in the end, he didn't. He did miss his shot. Lings are going to be rolling on in, and finally the shot goes off.
This one slow Bane. Migs is pushing in, but he turns around once the Queens get into position.
Oh, but this is a little bit dangerous. There's not really many Lings here. A couple are coming in to reinforce, but before that happens, great target firing. 2-3 of those Morphing and Banelings do get focused down.
And whenever you can take out Banes without having to rely on Widow Mines, the better your potential later on for a great mine connection is.
Yeah, definitely, as Migs is not stopping with the aggression again. Because of the 1-1-1 opener, there is more pressure on Migs to do damage because his third CC is that much later, and that's exactly what he's doing. He has a double drop set up towards the north. He has another drop set up here on the right-hand side as well, and he's going to try and break DIMAGA.
Yeah, Queens are in position, but the Lings and the Banes are focus more towards the north. And let's not forget, a lot of the banelings were taken out a little bit earlier on. Decent mine hit, taking out a baneling and a couple of lings. It does, however, more importantly, mean that these marines can just sort of bounce in between these bases.
Yeah, and hey, they get another queen as well. I think that's like 2 or 3 queens in the last couple of moments. But on the right-hand side, it looks like DIMAGA is prepared. He completely shuts down that push. Another queen goes down.
Beautifully done. And yeah, another queen may just about go down here. Unfortunately, not quite able to target fire. That medevac, and the queen goes down. Once again, the lack of anti-air is really punishing DIMAGA.
Let's go for the drones. It's only 3 Marines, but they can do a lot of damage, mate. At the same time, another army pushing in on the right-hand side. It does get reinforced. Widowmines do connect with the banelings, and now the lings are all gone.
The lings are all gone. They are hugging a corner. DIMAGA now decides, I've had enough. I'm pushing with what I have remaining. Widowmine, Widowmine, Widowmine! Not quite able to connect with anything, but there's still plenty of Marines. More importantly, look at this SimCity here for Vindicta. That was a pretty good connection of banelings, but there are still Marines and Widowmines to defend what push remains here for Vindicta.
Yeah, Vindicta, he still has a lot of momentum going his way. He has a lot of army. If he's kept at home, then DIMAGA can breathe a little bit and rebuild. But you know what? Vindicta is not turning around. He has a 2-2. DIMAGA not too far behind with his own upgrades, to be fair, but Vindicta's push is going to be massive. Oh my god, he's even splitting off his libs.
Yeah, because why the hell not? There's no anti-air.
Yeah, again, a lot of the queens did go down earlier. These liberators are going to be able to take siege up on this 4th base. 0 mining whatsoever.
Yeah, meanwhile, we got Widowmine connection going on there. Vindicta still hasn't completed that planetary fortress by the 4th base yet, so it is a little bit vulnerable. Oh, he's actually not even going for that.
Yeah, he's not quite going for it yet. Meanwhile, once again, we have a massive run by here at the 3rd base of Vindicta. And this feels a little bit desperate from DIMAGA. Like, he's doing everything he can to make sure Vindicta's army stays at home.
Yeah, it is desperate, but it's what he needs to do right now. Because I agree 100% with you, Light. Vindicta has enough units, and he has the right units to just straight up kill DIMAGA. DIMAGA needs to distract Vindicta as much as possible. Those are some great baneling connections, though, and this puts such a halt in the momentum of Vindicta. It's turning everything around.
It really does, but that was the entire army of DIMAGA. It all goes down. He gets 8 SCVs, but Vindicta still has a worker lead.
Still has a worker lead. He still has an army lead. He still has an upgrade lead, or at least he will, as 3-3 is currently being researched. DIMAGA, I'm pretty sure, is still on Lair Tech right now.
I think he may still be on Lair Tech. He's got a Hydroden on the way, but Widowmines, they waddle into the mineral line as well, just forcing DIMAGA back home to try and deal with this. His economy continuing to be constrained here by Vindicta, and he's not moving out with his army yet. He's going to be staying at home, and he's going to be able to deal with this baneling run by. Up!
He doesn't even care to lose SCVs. Ooh. He knows he can afford to lose them.
And DIMAGA, he cannot afford to lose these drones. So many of them are getting picked off by this Liberator. Another double drop is coming in as well to maybe even try and focus down this hatchery. The banelings are here to force them back, so we do have a hot pickup.
Right at the end over there. Very quick reaction from Vindicta back home as well. Little bit of friendly fire with those Widowmines, but in the end, I think that army supply difference says everything about the fate of this game.
Yeah, I mean, DIMAGA's just been doing everything he can to hold on in this game, but Vindicta still continues to thrive. His worker count's continuing to just get larger and larger. He's getting 2 CCs as we speak. And even though DIMAGA's going to be cleaning up the army on the right-hand side, he does connect with those drops. We have another force on the left.
Yeah, it's not much of a force anymore. I'm pretty sure SCVs could fight those lings, no problem. And it's actually drones that are going down instead of SCVs, so...
Yeah, and here we go. Vindicta, he's coming on in. He's going to be able to take down this fresh base. It just finished. No cancel.
That's the most painful... That's one of the most painful moments as a Zerg player, I imagine. Widowmines connect with just about every single baneling. There are a lot of Hydras here, so they can sort of put a stop to the push for the time being, but reinforcements are on the way.
Yeah, the Hydras do force back the army. They do, trade a little bit with those Marines as well. We have more upgrades for those Hydras coming in behind this. But Vindicta, again, when he starts pushing, he just doesn't stop. The aggression continues. He's just rallying everything he has across the map. And DIMAGA is just barely holding on. He barely has any creep connecting his bases as well. The Hydras are coming, but I don't think we really have many Banelings ready for this.
None whatsoever. I mean, if the Hydras can get a really good concave and fight the army of Vindicta while it's split up, then maybe there's a chance for him, but that ain't happening right now. You see one final last stand from DIMAGA, going for a push across the map, trying to defend. Yeah, just sending everything across the map right now.
Yeah, he's trying to go for like a pseudo base trade because DIMAGA's been broken. GG gets called and Vindicta takes the 2-0.
What have we said since the start of the season, Light? Platinum Heroes, if you want to win, send out Vindicta.
Platinum Heroes, they wanted to give their opponents a chance for a while. They decided not to field their ace player until now, and here he is with a 2-0 over DIMAGA, and that is a really solid result because DIMAGA is arguably, the second best player on Berserker Esports. It's DIMAGA and Spatz. They're the two that really are the core of the team. And with DIMAGA getting 2-0'd, that just puts that much more pressure on Spatz to fight back.
Indeed, it does. Indeed, it does. We are getting into set 2, so it's not, there's still not as much pressure on Berserker Esports. Spatz, as long as he wins one game, we can get to the third set, and there is potential for. Let me just double check real quick what the roster is for Radko to try to get a 2-0 and then to go into an ace match. But otherwise, if Goblin takes a 2-0 here, Platinum Heroes will already qualify for Code S.
100%, mate. 100%. It's on Spatz to at least take a game, and to be fair, he can. I say he probably will. Again, he is, I would say, the ace player of Berserker Esports. He is the favorite in this series. It's going to be on Goblin to try and overcome that, especially because, I don't know if you saw some of the results from a couple of days ago, but Goblin was even struggling a little bit against Roddy. He lost the game to Roddy, and I was like, oh my god.
Here's the thing, though. I expected that. Because Goblin had to deal with the pressure of going up against his dad.
True. Yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of pent up,
some unresolved feelings going on.
Yeah. The mental trauma was real, getting beaten by his dad on stream.
Again.
Oh my god. Go on.
Well, yeah, I think that definitely is something to consider. Struggling a little bit against Roddy, but overall, I usually like to give Goblin. I usually am optimistic about Goblin's chances, especially in a PvP.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that match against Roddy was just a once-off. It was just a once-off thing. He had to let Roddy take at least one game because filial duty.
I'm sure. Yeah, I agree. Like, Goblin is a really solid player, to be fair. Like, this is going to be a really close series, not just because Goblin's an amazing player, but because it's a PvP as well, so things are going to get really chaotic. I would be a little bit stressed out if I was on Berserker Esports right now because they have to come back in this series in a PvP of all things against Goblin, so this is going to get really intense. And speaking of things getting intense, I want to give a massive shout out to someone in the chat, to Driket, of course, the ex-owner of Team X on, I believe, the current player manager on Sidestorm Gaming. Thank you so much for resubscribing. We appreciate the support. Thank you.
Arts all around. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my. Yes, we appreciate the support here, and oh boy, we are still just barely getting into this. We're scratching the surface in this series. Vindicta 2-0s, and I mean, we knew he would 2-0,
Yeah.
it's fine. So we knew that would happen. But now the rest of the series is a little bit more up in the air, especially because game 1 is going to be a PvP on altitude.
Indeed, and we are going to be jumping straight on into it, representing Berserker Esports in our top right-hand corner of the map, a blue Protoss player, Spatz.
And in the bottom left-hand corner for Platinum Heroes, it is Goblin.
And after Vindicta DIMAGA, this was probably the match that I was most excited about, that I was looking forward to the most. Just because, as we were all alluding to, Goblin, very solid player overall, especially in PvP. But Spatz has been just popping off so hard lately. It's something about these German Protoss players. Him and Forjumi in these past couple of months have just really taken their skill and taken their play to the next level.
They really have. I'm glad you bring up Forjumi, because he's the other, rising star in the European scene that has just been recently popping off like crazy. I think Spatz, to a lesser extent, he's been really proving himself against a lot of players, but I think he needs some more wins under his belt, and this would be a good one, not just for himself, but also for his team, if he can overcome this. But again, this is going to be a really weird one, because Altitude is, of course, the largest map in the map pool. There's a lot of kind of room and areas to go for these kind of weird proxies, to go for some weird builds. And we'll see what Spatz decides to do, because we see an economic opener here from Goblin, a gate expand. Spatz goes for a 2-gate opener.
Yeah. It's a gate expand. So that is a Cybercore, not a second... And not a second gateway.
Yeah. So Goblin, he is attempting to expand and take his natural base. He's forced to make a Zealot. We see this dance time and time again here when we have an economic opener from the Protoss desperately trying to land their Nexus and their opponent being a nuisance. Oh my god, and this is what I was talking about. Spatz going for the more aggressive opener is even going for a proxy.
You love to see it. What are we gonna see? Stargate or Robo?
That's a good question. I mean, that pylon is pretty far out there, and there it is. We have a Stargate.
Oh, but what about the reciprocation from Goblin? Actually, he's still just chilling over there. Never mind.
Yeah. So we'll see. Again, Goblin, of course, going for the faster Nexus. He will have the better economy. Again, the onus is going to be on Spatz to try and deal some damage to at least equalize if he wants the game to go on a little bit longer. Spatz, also back at home, has been pumping out these Stalkers, so he's going to have a decent amount of firepower to work with.
Yeah, a decent number of Stalkers already being produced. A couple of them... I was going to say a couple of them are for those Spatz's Stalkers. That is a Nexus? Ninja base?
He's getting a ninja! What? I mean, again, we're on altitude. The map is huge. Like, you can hide whatever you want. Apparently, you can hide a base as well.
Yeah. And technically, that base isn't on Goblin's side of the map. If you're looking at it horizontally, technically, that is still Spatz's side of the map. Goblin has no reason to suspect this just yet.
Yeah, there's no reason to scout in this area, and I love this as well. So Spatz, he was scouting with this probe across the map. For all he knows, he's up against a one-base all-in. Like, for all he knows, his opponent is just going giga aggressive, and oh my god, but before that happens, we do have some very nice force fields. 2 Stalkers get caught out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Spatz is doing a really good job of selling the story, being aggressive with those Stalkers, but losing 2 of them right off the bat... even if he was trying to sell a story and try to lull Goblin to false sense of security, that's still a very hefty loss early on.
It really is, but here we go. Both Oracles do dip into the main base. They do have that one-shot potential, and a lot of probes are going to be going down. Late reaction from Goblin. 7 probes get picked off, and with that, Spatz is going to be taking a worker lead.
Yeah, a bit of a late reaction, but of course we know why. Because all those Stalkers were out here by the natural base trying to deal with that. A couple of Adepts shade in as well and take out 2 more probes. continuing to just make Goblin as uncomfortable as possible.
Yeah, exactly. Just continuing to hammer down his economy. Meanwhile, these oracles are diving on in. They can go for either these sentries or the workers. They go for the workers. They get a couple more, 12 in total.
That's pretty good. That's an entire mineral line.
Yeah.
Practically an entire mineral line.
Yeah, and look at Spatz, mate. He's just got such a big economy. We do see Goblin. I believe he goes across the map with, that was an Observer, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there it is. Observer is in the main. He sees how late the natural is, by the way, so he's going to be feeling relatively good about himself, I feel, as he's scouting.
Interesting.
The Haluk.
Wait, is he scouting? He is. Yeah. Yeah, I think he saw the Twilight Council researching in the base and thought, wait a minute. How are you doing all this with oracles on just one base?
Exactly. So that is insane. We have the stasis trap!
Will put a stop to Spatz's attempt at denying that base. He did scout it, and now couple of gateways being thrown down in this location. Shield battery as well. Spatz is consolidating forces here to be able to hold it.
That's the thing, right? Like, Goblin, he's scouted the ninja, but can he even do anything about it at this point? Especially with that stasis trap, Spatz has gotten so much time, and there we go, Goblin. He doesn't go for the push. He knows that if he does, it's going to spell disaster for him. He's going to be backing off instead, and he's going to be working on his own immortal count.
Yeah, I'm liking this shift in plans coming in here for Goblin. Now, initially wanted to take out that base. Now he knows that he is way too far behind to do so. Just macro up as much as possible on these two bases, get a solid enough army, and then try to take a good engagement over Spatz. I keep wanting to say stats.
Yeah, and to be fair, like, Goblin, he is going to have a pretty robust army. He's going to have Blink, he's going to have a lot of Stalkers, he's going to have multiple Immortals as well. So I do like his chances, especially if Spatz tries to push into him. But I'm sure Goblin is going to be staying at home, and I'm pretty sure he's either going to commit to a 2-base all-in or slowly take a third. And it's going to be on Spatz to make sure he's ready for when that happens.
Yeah, the longer this game goes on, the better it's going to be for Spatz here. We can see the difference in income right now due to that massive worker disparity and base disparity.
Yeah, exactly. Deep in the blue for Spatz. He's up so far ahead in workers. There is a prism on the way for Goblin, and that is the first sign of aggression here, that Goblin is going to be looking to move out across the map, potentially with his entire army. But he has to be careful. Look at Spatz. He's actually split up his army to maybe even surround in the middle of the map. He's ready to receive whatever comes his way.
Yeah, he really just wants to take an engagement in the middle of the map, which is where these zealots, these charge lots, can really shine. Now, if he's pushed into a corner, I think the sheer firepower from Goblin's Immortals are going to be enough to win him an engagement and potentially the game. But if they find open ground, these charge lots get any sort of surround.
Ooh.
I want to give the advantage to Spatz.
Yeah, I do as well. Meanwhile, we do have a link on forward. One sentry of Spatz is going to be going down. A lot of his other units are being caught out as well. He has to be very careful with his movement. And I don't think he has enough to really fight this, especially with those Immortals.
Yeah, Spatz, I really like that he was setting up a bit of a concave here to the point where Goblin even had to, reconsider whether or not he wants to push forward, but he just doesn't have the supply IMO. Oh, beautiful force fields coming out from Goblin, completely shutting down this flank of chargelets. This is what gives him the advantage. This is how he's going to be able to continue pushing.
Yeah, Spatz, he's only coming in with half his army, but here we go. He's going for the full surround, but the force fields are still insane. The Zealots, they're just not a part of the fight.
Absolutely insane micro and insane positioning. Now there is nothing stopping Goblin from pushing into this base. Spatz, he needs to make a decision. Do I try to flank this with my chargelets, or do I try to go for a little bit of counter harass? And he is going to try to defend his base, defending it very, very well.
Yeah, he's coming in from multiple angles. He does take down one of the Immortals. The second one will barely survive, and Goblin is falling back to the safety of his base. Actually, no, Spatz continues to chase.
Yeah, +1 finished up a little while ago, so Spatz is it does have a lot of momentum behind these chargelets. They hit like a truck. But once we get to a choke point, these stalkers show why they reign supreme.
Yeah, we see an aggressive blink forward there as well. Spatz bleeding out a lot of units right now. His army supply is in shambles. Meanwhile, he needs something else to try and recover. He's going for a Dark Shrine.
Yeah, when behind? I mean, I guess technically he's not behind. He's very far ahead if you look at the economy, but yeah, when it comes to the army, Goblin has way better tech. He has a way stronger army composition, even though he's behind when it comes to the upgrades.
Exactly. We do see an overcharge is pop. That's going to buy Spatz a little bit of time to rebuild his army and regather his forces at his ninja base. But there's only a single shield battery here to support, and I don't know if Spatz can really take this fight.
I'm just going to say it, that was a premature battery overcharge. Goblin did not intend to really commit to a fight just yet. He baited that out beautifully, and now Goblin... there's nothing holding Goblin back.
Yeah, nothing holding him
on his base.
This entire ninja base is completely shut down. Spatz may be ahead in workers, but that is soon not about to be the case as he loses everything. 16 probes go down. Spatz is knocked down to 2 bases, and he just doesn't really have too much tech to work with, but he's coming in with his DTs.
There's only one observer out in the middle of the map. It's going to take quite some time for Goblin to get back home with it. He recalls... Okay, he just recalls the observer, which I think is the right choice. He warps in a couple of units back home, which means that he's not going to be able to warp into reinforced later, but he may not need to. Goblin, no brakes. He's putting his foot straight on the gas pedal. He is pushing with everything he's got.
He really is, and we do have an overcharge. We do have a defensive immortal of his own. So Spatz, his natural base is looking pretty good, but he's still behind. He's still only working with half the army supply. There are so many stalkers available, but if there's no detection with the main army, he recalled his observer back home. Oh, no, it's there. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. He has 3 observers. True. I don't know what a third one is, but yeah. It's where 2 of them are.
Yeah, 2 of them at home, 1 with the main army, and here we go. Goblin is pushing on forward. He can blink on top of this army. He focuses down the Immortal, and Goblin just has far too much.
Yeah. Those sentries, unfortunately, did not have nearly enough energy and did misplace the force field a little bit. 2 force fields maybe would have been enough to hold us back, but yeah, unfortunately, they were popped in a unfortunate position. There's no detection here for Spatz either, so this observer will continue living. DTs will not be able to really turn the tides, and I mean, even if there were DTs, no detection, it's 6 army supply versus 72. Goblin looked a little bit shaky there, but was able to completely turn this game around, takes game number 1, and is 1 game away from qualifying Platinum Heroes, for making Platinum Heroes qualify for Code S.
1 game away, man. And again, a lot of that did come down to his control, his sentry control, his army positioning, able to make use of the map itself and make use of all those choke points and completely cut the army of Spatz in half. As a result, Spatz, he was just taking really inefficient trades in the first half of that game, despite having that better economy. And he had really questionable tech choices. If you remember, as he was trying to make use of his economy, he went for the Dark Shrine. He also went for a Templar Archives as well, for High Templar and for Archons. And the DTs, sure, they did an okay job crippling the economy, but it was far too late as well. Like, I do feel like we needed to invest into things like Immortals and maybe even Disruptors far sooner than DTs and High Templar.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, by the time Spatz came in with his DTs, it felt like a scenario where Spatz was like, I'm gonna kill your workers. The Goblin's like, what workers? I got to this point without any workers whatsoever. Take them. Take them. I'm already pushing across the map into your base. I didn't need these workers before, and I don't need them now.
Yeah, it's like his DTs are coming in to kill probes. It's like, mate, I'm already all in. Like, I'm already 2 base all in, man. What are you doing? I'm not going to turn around. We're just going to keep pushing. Yeah. So, maybe just misreading the situation a little bit and being punished for it. So, Goblin does take a very firm lead in this series.
Yeah, I definitely loved that ninja base and that
Yeah.
proxy Stargate
Yeah.
at the start of the game, but like you said, after keeping Goblin contained on 2 bases, it just felt like Spatz wasn't able to make the most out of that opportunity, and as a result, Goblin, with some sick force fields, let's be honest, if even the one force field got misplaced there, I still think Spatz would have had the advantage, and I honestly think we would still be in game number 1. But yeah, with some clutch micro, Goblin was able to turn it around. And gets to game number 2, which is on Babylon. We're in the top left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the top left-hand corner. A Blue Protoss player representing Berserker Esports, Spatz.
And spawning in, the bottom right-hand corner for Platinum Heroes, it is Goblin. My mind blanked. I thought we were still looking at Spatz.
Look, these Protoss players, man.
Yeah, they look alike.
They really do. I actually don't know what Spatz looks like. So.
Oh boy, but this is a very solid lead here for Platinum Heroes. Goblin just needs one more win, and you mentioned it earlier. If Goblin is able to take this next game, that is it. Platinum Heroes advance to Code S, and Berserker Esports are going to be in that elimination match in that lower bracket series, and that's a scary place to be.
Yeah, as a reminder to our viewers, 5 teams from Code A will qualify for Code S this time. It is not just 4. So the losers of this series and the series after this will have an additional chance to face each other, but that will be tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that will be tomorrow. Meanwhile, as we get into this, I want to give a massive shout out to Deathsbane AU in the chat. Thank you so much for the raid. Gracias, puppy. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session, and thank you so much for supporting us. We appreciate it, puppy. We appreciate it. Hope everything is good on your end. And also, a shout out to Vindicta. Miguelito is in the chat as well. And mate, if you want, you can listen to the VOD because we were maybe fanboying a little bit over you.
No bias.
No bias. No bias.
No bias.
Oh god. Not as how do I put this? You know, not as 18 plus as a cast with Asher would have been. I'm sure he would have brought up, you know, the Shaft and the Voltron and would have taken it a bit of a different direction. But regardless, I hope we did you justice.
I just realized Platinum Heroes has to install the Shaft. Is the Shaft compatible with the new Voltron?
Can it be connected to the Eagle? Does that work? Oh no.
I mean, they could find space, I'm sure.
Yeah. I hope so.
As we choice body length.
It's true. It's gonna weigh them down. We're gonna have to make some fan art.
Fly anymore. Get off the ground.
Jesus Christ. It's just grown a third leg. It's gonna have to walk around instead. But before that happens, of course, we are still in this series. We see a gate expand, and both players have opted to go for Stargate openers and Spatz. This is a really rough start for him. He goes for the Oracle. Goblin saw it coming, and he goes for the Phoenix to hard counter it.
Yeah, really good adaptation here coming up from Goblin. Hardcore shutting down this Oracle, really.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to run.
The Oracle is going to die. This is a disastrous start for Spatz. His opener essentially doing nothing, basically burning money here by making that Oracle. And all of that, again, is because Goblin was able to see that the Oracle was being made with his Probe Scout, and now Goblin has the map control.
Goblin's angry.
Oh. Yeah.
After that previous game.
He's upset. Mate, you want a ninja base against me? Against me? Oh my god, mate. You're crazy, Papi. And now with these Phoenixes going across the map, he's going to be able to pick off a couple of workers. 3 probes go down, as well as that Oracle, of course.
Yeah, thankfully for Spatz, he did have a shield battery in his mineral line, so it did keep a lot of his probes alive. Honestly, he didn't really have a lot of anti-air. Even now, I believe he only has 1 or 2 stalkers that are outside at natural base.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And as a result, Goblin, he's still just continuing to pick off a couple more workers here and there, still has that map control. We see Spatz trying to go across the map with some of these adepts to try and do some counter damage of some sort. But if Goblin is paying attention, I don't know if they really will, as, oh my god, he just goes for the stalkers.
Goblin's angry. But he may have been a little bit blinded by his rage. Just now, yeah, these adepts are having free reign in the natural base. Not the biggest of deals, obviously, but still a little bit annoying here. Goblin would have evened out the army supply if not, or the worker supply, sorry, if not for these 2 adepts.
Yeah, this is keeping Spatz in this game. Like, right now, Goblin is on 1 base economy. We can see here, 0 mining at the natural due to only 2 adepts. Finally, they're going to be cleaned up here. Both, I believe, were sniped just barely, so a bit of a wasted recall. But well worth it. Did far more damage than we thought they would.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it keeps Spatz in this game, despite losing that Oracle and losing a couple of probes earlier on. He still has a slight probe lead. He is still teching up at around the same pace as Goblin, but hang on. There's still no anti-air.
Oh my god, we have a massive run by into the main base, a flyby even, 7 probes go down, and any kind of economic advantage that Spatz had isn't really there anymore. He is going for a faster third, which can kick in later on, but he's still limping along just because of the power of these Phoenixes.
Yeah, Goblin Scouts confirms the 3rd base is on the way and now has to make a decision. Do I push or do I, get a 3rd of my own? Once again, these adepts end up getting cleaned up, but they do their job. They equalize the worker supply once again.
Yeah, exactly. So not too bad here from Spatz, continuing to slip out a couple of those adepts whenever he can. But the Phoenix count has gotten to the point where, oh, never mind. We do see him being punished a little bit. I was about to say gotten to the point where he can kind of, continue to bully these mineral lines. Finally, Spatz has a decent stalker count where he can defend his bases.
Yeah, he has a decent amount of stalkers. He has blink on those stalkers, so they're a lot more mobile. Spatz can definitely jump back and forth between his bases to deal with any Phoenixes coming his way, and just like that, I'm starting to get worried for Goblin.
Yeah, I mean, the stalker count is looking relatively competitive here for Spatz, but look at the upgrade timing. Goblin +1 just finished up for him, and Spatz is basically an entire upgrade behind.
Yeah. And in a Stalker versus Stalker fight, assuming that, positioning is roughly the same, and let's be honest, it's not going to be the same because Goblin has crowd control potential with his Phoenixes. That +1, that upgrade is very, very significant.
Yeah, especially once +2 kicks in. I do think that Goblin is going to be looking to hit a timing with +2 once it finishes up. He will still have that advantage. And yeah, it's going to be on Spatz to try and get a different advantage. And there we go. He goes for a very fast 4th base.
Very, very fast. Potentially a bit of a gamble. If Goblin decides to push out soon, and he's able to scout that 4th base, Spatz is going to have a lot of trouble splitting his army and defending all of his bases at once. But if Goblin doesn't realize that, if he leaves that alone for a bit too long, then I think Spatz can just snowball from there.
Yeah, exactly. I think so as well. But Goblin is just doing such a great job at just continuing to get further and further ahead. I mean, he's still behind a base, don't get us wrong, and I believe this hallucination may have gotten sight on the 4th base, but we have a 2nd robo on the way and a robotics base. So Goblin pretty soon is going to be starting Disruptor production. Yeah,
and Blink Disruptor versus Charge Shot Archon. I want to favor Blink Disruptor.
Yeah, it's so difficult to split up and avoid those Purification Novas with your Archons and with your Charge Lots. There we go. 2 Disruptors are being made at a time. Goblin now working on his 4th base. It is quite late compared to his opponents, and we can see that in the workers. Like, Spatz has been able to take quite a hefty worker lead.
Yeah. Outdoing Goblin by about 12, now 14 workers. But let's not forget that in game number 1, Spatz at one point was up 20 workers
True.
against Goblin, but wasn't quite able to make full use of it and ended up losing that game.
Yeah, it's like, doesn't matter how good your economy is. What matters is how efficient your army is as well. And Goblin will straight up have a much more efficient army. Things may change though, because a Dark Shrine is on the way, and this Dark Shrine can definitely throw a wrench in the works and can be a great way for Spatz to come back.
Yeah. Potentially targeting down a disruptor here or there, or just being a nuisance to Goblin's army overall. I don't believe there are any observers out yet for Goblin. So if Goblin pushes out soon and he meets a couple of DTs, Spatz is going to be able to buy himself a lot of time.
Speaking of, there we go. 4 DTs are being warped in and they're headed towards the natural base of a Goblin. We do have some cannons on the way, which is good, but with 4 DTs, they can surround and kill a cannon pretty quickly. So Goblin still has to react very, very quickly to these DTs. Meanwhile, +2 is done. We have a +1 armor on the way here for our Croatian Protoss, and that disruptor count just continues to get higher and higher as Spatz is looking to go for some multi-prong harass.
Is that a Halooped Warp Prism? No, it's not.
It's real.
For some reason, the lighting made me.
Yeah.
The lighting made me think it's Halooped, but no, it's real.
It's blue.
It is what it is.
Yeah, the blue prism can sometimes, be deceiving, but it is real. It is going to be slipping into the main base. At the same time, the DTs are waddling into the natural, and that cannon is going to get surrounded. No, it's not!
The surround with the warping in Zealots. Once again, Goblin showing off how he is a master at positioning. There is a cheeky little warp into DTs in the main base, but actually getting a surprising amount of damage. Goblin not responding.
Yeah, I mean, he's dealing with the main army. The main army is posturing. It's threatening his third base, so he's having a really hard time spinning off some forces. The Phoenix is coming in, but +3 gets denied.
Just like so, there's no detection there whatsoever. And now we get a little bit of skirmish here right outside the 4th base.
Yeah, those DTs are the MVPs here for Spatz. We have another massive warp into the main base. The Phoenixes were slow to respond. Zealots are now in here as well. But when it comes to the main army engagement, because of all these disruptors, Goblin should be winning this one out.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
And so he wins that engagement.
Yeah, he takes the fight, but he's losing his main base. He lost his forge. That massive upgrade advantage that he once had isn't really there anymore. We have another prism that is remade and going back into the main of Goblin.
Yeah, there are a lot of Phoenixes this time, though, so that could definitely throw a wrench in those plans.
Yeah, it really can, but Goblin is being pulled apart right now. There are DTs and Zealots all over the place. The cannon goes down as well. Phoenixes are trying to defend, but Goblin is having a hard time warping in as well, just because so much of his production has been depowered.
Yeah, a lot of production has been depowered. He doesn't actually have a lot of pylons either to really warp in from, at least back at home.
And there it is, another warping into the main base. The bay goes down, the workers as well. Goblin was doing such a great job refining his army, but not the DTs! Sorry, the disruptors, no!
Do get targeted immediately by the stalkers. Finally, they are chased away, the stalkers, I mean, but there's still no buffer for these disruptors!
Oh my god, the advantage that the win condition for Goblin was his disruptors, but he lost his bay in the main, and he lost every disruptor bar one. Spatz is taking a massive lead here. He had an insane economy before, it's getting even larger. He has a 5th base.
7 disruptors went down in the blink of an eye and in the blink of those stalkers. That was absolutely insane, and Goblin doesn't have a good enough economy to really rebuild all of that. He has to rebuild his Robo Bay for one.
Yeah.
Whereas Spatz, he's on 5 bases. He is sitting pretty. He's getting disruptors of his own.
Yeah. Spatz is just getting further and further ahead. He is maxed out at this point. He can do whatever he wants, and what he decides to do is just make a massive wave of DTs to hit the natural once again. Looks like there are more than enough Phoenixes to deal with this, but they get recalled, and at the same time, the disruptors! No!
Oh, don't get pounced on. Which is probably a smart choice here from Spatz. Those Stalkers of Goblin weren't too far behind.
And not too far behind at all, so he doesn't commit here. Goblin is doing a good job at just defending his 4 bases, and he's slowly looking to max out. It's going to take a while for him to recover. Meanwhile, oh my god, the disruptors are showing up! Up! Up!
Oh. I was going to repeat what the in-game announcer said, but then I remembered I don't speak Mandarin.
Meanwhile, we do have a bit of a disruptor battle going on. DTs at the natural are being cleaned up. We do have that prism behind the main that still hasn't gone in yet. We're kind of waiting for that moment here from Spatz. He's waiting for a moment when maybe the Phoenixes do expose themselves or do leave.
Yeah, wants to make sure that that Goblin is as distracted as possible before going in with that War Prism. That is the Fleet Beacon, and that's how you know Spatz is way further ahead than Goblin. Because now he can just spend his money however he wants.
Yeah, I do think that this could have been done earlier from Spatz. I do think that a Skytoss transition could have been done a little bit sooner. Meanwhile, the Novas do trade out, and Goblin will lose one of them. Meanwhile, another massive DT run by is going to be hitting the third base. No!
All of these Purification Nova. Spatz may not have made as many Disruptors, but he is nailing his Purification Novas when it counts. Massive wave of DTs will completely clear out this 4th base, and it's tough to see a path to victory at this point if you're Goblin. If he can completely crush this army and not lose any of his own units and keep on pushing, then maybe, but he just eats another Purification Nova.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But you know what, Spatz, he just lost his disruptors. Goblin came in from behind. He was able to snipe out a lot of every single disruptor there. So a good trade here. He can still take a fight. Bear that in mind. Goblin is now the player with disruptors. Oh my god, but he loses some more.
Yeah, he still has a couple of disruptors still, but at this point, we got 2 Tempests being made. We got a carrier in production right now for Spatz. Spatz is more than willing to trade at least some of his army supply just to get a much better Skytoss army.
Yeah, he just has to be careful not to poke the bear, because Tempest and carriers take a long time to make, and a Goblin has some momentum. He's pushing out across the map. He cleans up the prism in his main base. He's going for a massive push. Oof.
Immediately gets taken out with the blink of that Stalker. And yeah, Spatz may have poked the Goblin a little bit too hard.
Oh, exactly. Like, we're not ready here for a big major engagement. The Skytoss transition is not done yet. We only have, what, 2 carriers and 1 Tempest. So Goblin can still make some magic happen here as he does scout the army and is looking to regroup.
Yeah, these Disruptors are in the back, a little bit exposed. Nice pre-split on these Stalkers coming out from Spatz. But once again, the Purification Nova is doing a really good job of zoning this away. Goblin loses a high-energy Sentry, which is always painful.
It really is. There's a couple more Novas go off to zone away the army. Looks like this base on the top right-hand corner, the 6th base of Spatz, is going to go down.
Oof, 1 more Disruptor will go down, but another one will come in to replace it. I appreciate how conservative Goblin's been with these Purification Novas. The carrier goes down in a moment of vulnerability. 3 more are in production, but like you said, like, Skytoss just takes so long to produce.
It really does. So that's why Goblin still has a chance to win a major engagement and then maybe kill 1 or 2 bases straight after that. There is still a moment here available for Goblin, but the longer he takes, the more Skytoss is going to be popping out. There we go. He just got the 6th. Now the 5th is going to go down.
Hang on. Battery overcharge being popped over here. Great body blocking with those probes will mean that these ZTs aren't going to be able to get that much more. I spoke way too soon. As 11 probes go down for Goblin, and his economy is in even more shambles as they previously were. Good Purification Novas.
Yeah,
I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
I still don't think Spatz should be here.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, he's only got 2 carriers and 1 Tempest. Like, if he takes 1 or 2 big Novas to the face, then Goblin is just going to dive on this army. There's nothing stopping him. Would you have a couple more Disruptors coming in to reinforce? So Spatz is looking to reinforce and push this back and try and just force the win.
Yeah, he's playing on a bit of a knife's edge right now. If he slips up even once, he's going to get cut. Let's not forget, there are Phoenixes in the air Phoenixes, when they graviton disruptors, they can cancel Purification Novas, but not like that. Not like that. Eats in the Nova.
An aggressive blink from Goblin gets punished really hard. He takes a massive Nova to the face, and now Spatz is out-positioning Goblin right now. He has the higher ground. He's going to be focusing down this base. Here we go, Goblin. He comes in from behind, but again, he's pushing up a ramp into Disruptors.
Yeah, up his own ramp into his opponent's Disruptors, which is always a little bit of a morale shock. A great blink forward coming out from Goblin. Will be able to take out pretty much all the Sky Toss. Phoenixes clean up what's left, but a lot of ground army has been taken out. There are a lot of Disruptors left, but where's the buffer for them?
Yeah, where's the rest of the army? Here we go. Novas are going to be going off here on these Zealots. A little bit of friendly fire there from Goblin's Disruptors. And even if he cleans up this army, Spatz can rebuild and Goblin cannot.
Yeah, look at that bank here for Spatz! Oh! That Purification Nova to end all Purification Novas and that game as well. GG, Spatz takes game number 2, which gives Berserker Esports a fighting chance here.
Yeah, here we go. If anyone was going to turn this around for Berserker Esports, it was going to be Spatz. He takes game number 2, tying it up here with Goblin. After a really close game, to be honest, Goblin, up until the point where the moments where Spatz started to win was when we saw the Prism get into the main, the DTs get into the natural, and we saw a massive warping of Zealots into the main base, and the Phoenixes were idle. They weren't able to shut down that Prism in time, and suddenly everything started to turn to chaos. Spatz took advantage of that chaos, and Goblin just had a really hard time keeping up with that Warp Prism aggression and those DTs. Oh.
Yeah. I do feel like if Goblin pushed out just a little bit sooner and, took that initiative, I still honestly think Goblin would have won that. I mean, he was building up a very, very strong army. He had Disruptors, he had Phoenixes, he had Stalkers versus pretty much just Stalker Sentry coming out from Spatz. But Goblin, I can understand why he was waiting a little bit to get +2. Just to make sure that by the time he did push out, he would have as strong of an army as possible, at least at that point in the game. But because he was waiting for that, he gave Spatz just enough time to finish up a Dark Shrine and to set up that triple prong, as he was saying. And Goblin, unfortunately, doesn't have the best multitasking when it comes to defending back at home.
Yeah, or at least it was put to the test there by Spatz, and Spatz did come out on top in the end. And now we are going into our third best of 2 matchup of the evening here. To end it all for Berserker Esports versus Platinum Heroes, Radko needs to win this 2-0 to force the ace match. He cannot afford ShaDoWn to take a game.
Yeah, meanwhile, all ShaDoWn needs to do is win one game. Just one game, puppy.
Uno mas, papi, uno mas. One game is all ShaDoWn needs, and ShaDoWn is one of the stronger Protosses out there in Europe. He has proved himself as being a part of the DreamHack group stage for Europe as well. One of the top 32 players in Europa. So ShaDoWn is honestly a pretty terrifying opponent here, especially because Radko, aka I think his name was Blue Cheese, if I'm not mistaken, he is not the most established player. He is going to be the dark horse, the underdog coming into this series.
Yeah. It's weird thinking about ShaDoWn because, well, at least somebody who's not as active in the EU scene, whenever I think of ShaDoWn, he's the type of player who, when he wins, or if he plays really well in a DreamHack EU, I'm not really that surprised, or... Wait, no. I just realized... Where am I going with this? ShaDoWn isn't really a player I think about that often, is what I'm trying to say. But at the same time, if ShaDoWn doesn't make it to a DreamHack, I get very surprised. I think, wait, where's ShaDoWn?
Yeah, it's almost like he's maybe the gatekeeper of the top 32 in Europe,
That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like Curious back in the day in GSL Code S, just keeping all these other Code A players out. And maybe ShaDoWn has a similar role. So yeah, he's always been there. He's never been able to shine as brightly as Showtime or as Max Pax or even other players like Mana and Drogo, but ShaDoWn is still a very powerful player, still commands a lot of respect, and oh boy, as a result, he is going to be coming in as the favorite in this series. And as we wait for our players to get ready, want to give a massive shout out to Blaker Dudes in the chat for the 100 bits. Thank you so much for the support.
Arts all around.
Thank you. Oh. And we have our first map.
We do, in fact, have our first map. It is going to be that massive map coming out here. The Zerg favorite map, Ancient Cistern, but there's no Zerg in this matchup, so.
Yeah. And hey, even if it was Zerg favorite, remember, Migs, I guess maybe it goes to show how good he is. You know, he was able to overcome that and even take down the Zerg on Ancient.
Look, it's Zerg favorite, but it's not, wait. I was going to say it's Zerg favorite, but it's not Mig's favorite, but then I realized that, no, actually, it is Mig's favorite.
There you go.
This is built different, you know? There's a reason why he is the shaft of Voltron.
Oh, yeah. There's a reason why we do stroke that shaft as we are getting ready for our third best of two. Ancient Cistern is going to be another weird one. I don't think it's going to be as wild as Altitude. As you remember, you know, we saw Spatz go for a proxy and a ninja base. I don't think it's going to get that crazy, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would appreciate it.
This is where we get the proxy racks 2 games in a row, 3 games in a row potentially if he if he's able to take it to the ace match and is picked for the ace match. That's what we're going to see.
This isn't a bad map for proxy Raxes or maybe a proxy starport for like a Hellion drop or maybe, I don't know, proxy Rax just for Marauders, like a Marauder Concussive Shell, for example. Like there's a lot of different kind of aggressive openers that the Terran can go for, and it can be that much harder to scout on a map like Ancient Cistern.
There's potential for proxy tank, actually.
Is Radko that kind of player? Is he willing to go that far? Is in the top right-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have representing Berserker Esports, Radko from Slovakia.
And coming down here over in the bottom left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, representing Platinum Heroes, a Red Protoss player, ShaDoWn from La France.
Oh, oui.
Si. Velo.
Velo. Again, this is a very important match for Berserker Esports. We were talking about it earlier. Radko needs to win every single game.
Yeah, the pressure's definitely on.
The pressure is on, and despite the pressure being on, Radko doesn't flinch, and he makes his racks back at home.
Yeah, makes his racks in, I would say, the normal location, but that's not a wall.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting location because of that. The add-on won't be a part of the wall, so it will be a little bit safer. It does mean the wall is going to be a little bit later and a little bit delayed as a result of that, but yeah, interesting location nonetheless.
Yeah, pretty normal, all things considered. We also see an expansion coming down from ShaDoWn. And a... Oh. I like how Radko sent 2 SCVs, just anticipating the probe to be there already.
Yeah, exactly. He knows what ShaDoWn is about, what the Protoss is about, and this is already some nice damage that ShaDoWn is doing. You know, he forces a little bit of extra loss mining time here from the Terran, is going to be that much more annoying, and does confirm the racks expand.
Yeah, that's all this scout really needs to accomplish. That's, you know, making sure that Radko is still at home, not doing anything too out of the ordinary. I say that, but Radko actually skipped the Reaper.
He went reactor first. He's crazy. Oh my god.
Yeah, for a sec I thought I was holding that wall. I was about the PTSD flashed in my eyes, but no, thankfully that was a full-on wall.
Yeah, you don't see this too often at all here in TVP, but you know, with this opener, he's going to be amassing a large amount of Marines. I was curious if he was going to follow it up with either a 2-1-1 or a 3 racks, but no, we do have a factory as a follow-up here. The factory pretty far back, though. Again, Radko wants to keep his opponent guessing.
Yeah, which isn't a bad thing, all things considered, especially since, again, he did get that reactor as a part of the wall.
Hmm.
ShaDoWn is well aware that Radko skipped the Reaper. For all he knows, this is going to be a 3-Rax coming his way.
I'm also really curious about this SCV as well as okay. It was headed all the way south, and I was like, is he gonna proxy the starport? But no, the starport is thrown down at home. We do have that tech lab on the way for the add-on swap as well, and Radko is just gonna be able to slip in with that SCV and try and get a scout off. But no, ooh, it did get denied there at the ramp.
Aww. I wanted the SCV to build a second starport. I feel like you were right all along, but not how you expected it to go.
Thankfully, there is no crazy shenanigans like that going on. Meanwhile, ooh, nice movement here from these Marines. Almost catches the Adept.
Yeah, really anticipates a shade and is able to chase the Adept back, but yeah, actually, now that I think about it, since he's continuing to make Marines, he doesn't have to follow that shade.
Eh, he's got plenty at home where that came from, and ooh, he does go for the add-on swap. He's going to be going for Cloak Banshees as a follow-up. Very unorthodox here, but we do have a robo from ShaDoWn already. We do have an observer on the way, so detection will be available.
Yeah, definitely a very interesting choice coming out here from Radko. I do feel like Banshees are making a little bit of a comeback in TVP, but I would have to check again to see if Cloak is really common in TVP, or if Cloak specifically is, making a comeback in TVP.
Definitely. We have seen a couple of the Korean Terrans whip it out as well, just for like 1 or 2 Banshees, just to harass while other things are going on. Speaking of other things going on, though, we have a really peculiar build from ShaDoWn. He goes for a Twilight Council opener into Blink, but I believe he only has 2 to 3 gates. I think it's only 2 gateways, by the way, so very few gateway units to work with overall. He's going to have map control, but he's going straight into a bay behind this.
Yeah, he is. ShaDoWn is doing Protoss things here, getting just trying to get into Colossus as quickly as possible, and I think this is the right call. He knows that Radko, with that reactor first, is going to be a little bit more aggressive. A Colossus can completely shut down Marine aggression or a Marine tank push.
Yeah, and this is just a really peculiar, there's a lot of weird stuff going on all around. We do see the Banshee going across the map. 3 probes go down, not too bad whatsoever. At the same time, the Prism goes into the main base, and Stalkers do get into that Mineral Line.
Yeah, going to be able to reciprocate some of the damage that the Banshee dealt. The Observer was recalled, so there's detection back home now for ShaDoWn.
Yeah, and the reason why I say that this is a really peculiar build from Radko from both players again is Radko still doesn't have stim.
Wait, what?
These are vanilla Marines. He only has vanilla Marines. He never got a tech lab on his racks. He's just been pumping out reacted Marines this entire time. And, yeah, as a result, he can't really be too aggressive.
I completely autopiloted. I just assumed, alright, yeah, Radko, he probably already has at least 1 additional racks. He probably has a tech lab on that researching sim, but no, I'm glad you pointed that out. This is... I mean, a push was already going to be delayed just because he was going for double Banshee with Cloak, but
yeah.
Again, I'd have to double check, but I think this is late even for a double Banshee opener.
Yeah, this is insanely late for a stim timing. He just now finishes up 2 additional Raxes, and he's just now making the tech labs as we speak. He's not even going for an add-on swap. So again, what is it? It's gonna be 8 minutes or so before he's starting 1-1 before stim.
He has 3 Banshees actually.
Oh my god.
With Cloak, that's a little bit much if you ask me, and I guess that does explain why his stim timing is this much later.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I didn't miss it. Am I crazy? Does he already have it?
I don't think he does, because wait. Okay, so the tech lab's just finished up. He's a little bit... Okay, he's not getting Marauders, so he has gas still. There's stim! There we go!
There it is, yeah. Because it was so late, I was second guessing myself. I was like, no, did I miss it? Was there like a weird add-on switch earlier that we didn't see? No,
Yeah,
it's
like,
just
like,
now starting after 1-1. It's crazy.
ShaDoWn is gonna have so many Colossus.
Yeah, that's
By
what I
the time
mean.
Radko pushes across the map, I mean,
Yeah.
high sec lance. What am I saying? Thermal lance. It's gonna finish up right about now.
High sec lance is
sec
crazy.
lance.
Neo steel thermal lance, Poppy. Oh my god.
Oh, Neo Steel Blink coming down. Neo Steel Glaives.
Oh my god. Regardless, the Banshees do get a decent amount of damage. 10 workers go down. Not too bad at all, but the Banshees do all get cleaned up, and ShaDoWn is getting a fourth base. ShaDoWn is just skyrocketing ahead economically. And again, without stim, without combat shields, Radko has been stuck at home this entire time and has just allowed ShaDoWn to just pump out these Colossus.
Yeah, ShaDoWn pushing out, trying to see if he can get away with being a little bit aggressive. He's definitely going to have a lot of trouble pushing into that many tanks, but, at the very least, he has the map control. He is going to make sure that Radko won't be able to push into him. I'm still trying to decide if this was a mistake from Radko or if this is how the build is supposed to play out. Because sometimes we do see a delayed stim. Sometimes we do see, Terran players choosing not to push out with stim and with 1-1 and instead just expanding and getting 2-2. Oh, he doesn't have an armory.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't have that armory. And here we go. We have 4 Colossi right now. Any kind of bio army is just going to melt against this. Zealots go for a bit of run by in between the bases as well. 21 workers go down. We have more Zealots going into the main. Radko is being pulled apart.
It really is. 21 SCVs have gone down. Surprisingly, Radko isn't that far behind after losing that many workers, but like you said, he's just kind of being pulled apart here, and one good thrust is all ShaDoWn really needs. If he can catch his army unsieged, I think he's gonna qualify Platinum Heroes to the Code S.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, I guess the advantage of what Radko's been doing is that I guess I don't know. I was about to say, like, his tank count is pretty good. He's got 4 tanks, but even then, like, it's not really different as to what we would expect. Looks like the Vikings will be able to take down that Prism at least, but he unsieges! No!
The absolute worst time to unsiege. He is able to siege up once again and reinforces the rest of his army, but that did buy ShaDoWn enough time to just completely reset the tank count. A couple of reinforcements are starting to come in, and there's not much of a buffer left for these Colossus. One of them will go down.
Oof.
But all in all, I still think that was a better trade. I want to say it was a better trade for ShaDoWn, but
yeah, we traded 2 Colossus for 4 tanks. Like, overall, I do think that ShaDoWn traded more efficiently, and he even catches the drop as well. Yeah,
it was disputable whether or not that was a good trade for ShaDoWn, but now that those 2 medevacs got sniped, there's no argument to be made. ShaDoWn is in control.
He really is. He's taking a 5th base right now, as opposed to the 4 bases of Radko. We see +3, +1 on the way as well for ShaDoWn's upgrades. Soon we should be starting Disruptor production. That's probably the biggest thing that ShaDoWn is lacking, is that once he's gotten that critical number of 3 Colossus, we should be diversifying our splash damage. He has Archons, which is nice, but again, it would be great to see some more use out of his Robos, which he is neglecting a little bit.
Yeah, either more use of his Robos or just research Storm at this point.
Yeah.
Throwing down a bunch more gateways. He's getting +3. And the most important thing that ShaDoWn is doing right now, he's keeping Radko contained on 3 bases.
He killed the critter.
He killed
the red spot.
Oh.
ShaDoWn, what's going on, buddy? These Protoss. They're
caught in
heartless.
the crossfire, yeah.
No. Meanwhile, did I say that we had a 5th base on the way? Really, I mean, we have a 6th and a 7th. ShaDoWn is double expanding, and he's taking every base on his side of the map.
Wait, 2, 4, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 bases. are coming out right now for ShaDoWn as Radko cannot land a 4th base. ShaDoWn just has so much map control and so much map awareness thanks to the observer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. You know, just ShaDoWn is just containing Radko here to his 3 bases, and ShaDoWn has finally maxed out. At any moment, he should just be looking to A move in, to be honest. The bare minimum, I guess, is just continuing to deny the 4th.
He didn't just max out. He's maxed out with 2-1, and it's about to get 3-2 against Radko, who only now is halfway done with 2-2.
Yeah, the upgrades are insane, but you know what? ShaDoWn's army is kind of split up here. We do see Radko just diving on forward on top of these Colossi, but no, it was a trap. In comes a flank of Zealots.
That was such a good bait coming out from ShaDoWn, but honestly, not all of his Colossus were in position. A lot of them were pretty low from the previous engagement as well, so the Vikings are able to take him out. But there's nothing for Radko to defend the main anymore because of that.
Exactly. Another warp into the main base. Zealous just eviscerating everything inside. The armory is under threat. The Ghost Academy as well. The 4th base of Radko still cannot be landed. And we see, I thought we were going to see a Skytoss transition. No, instead, 2 more Robos thrown down for ShaDoWn. To just double down on the ground toss.
Yeah, well, either way, whatever ShaDoWn gets, he's still in a pretty good position. I mean, at this stage, there's an argument to be made that maybe you don't want to have that much of a ground army, but more is better. More of anything is really better, is what I say. ShaDoWn, he can get Disruptors, he can get Colossus, and it's still going to pay off for him.
It's one of those things where can ShaDoWn throw the game? Maybe. There's a slim chance here if he just keeps aping into tank lines, but oh my god, these Zealot Rambayas, they just keep paying off.
They really, really do. You know, it's always like a little bit confusing seeing, why is ShaDoWn like kind of aping into these tank lines? Well, it's not that he's aping, it's more that he's baiting. You know, he's trying to get Radko on his toes to really say, this is where I'm fighting, this is my main army, here are my high-tech units, and they're so low. But really, he's just distracting the forces of Radko. GG's call. ShaDoWn takes that game, and with that, Platinum Heroes will advance, will qualify for WTL Code S.
GG, well played. Congratulations to Platinum Heroes with that win. They have made it to Code S. They have won this series. But we will still have one more game here to see if Radko can redeem himself here against ShaDoWn. We will still play out game number 2, even though Platinum Heroes have already gotten the technical win and have already taken it all.
Yeah. But will they win with a 4-2 or will they win with a 5-1 is what this next map will determine.
Yeah, that's going to be the question. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but ShaDoWn at the end of that game, I was about to bring it up, he had 9 bases. Yeah, he went up to 9. It's crazy.
Well, that's what happens when you have map control.
I don't think I've ever seen a Protoss with 9 bases before. Yeah. It was terrifying.
I definitely haven't seen a Protoss player with 9 bases before. It's rare enough to see a Protoss player with 2 bases. To go up to 9?
9? Hey,
9?
crazy. That's 7 more than you need.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So, yeah. Congratulations to Platinum Heroes and ShaDoWn again. We're still going to be playing out our next game. Also, of course, I want to give a shout out to Nameless in the chat.
Hey.
The Zerg player from Singapore. Thank you so much for the raid. Nameless, we better see you tomorrow because Grand Platypus Open is coming back. Of course, a tournament restricted to Oceania, Southeast Asia, China, and Hong Kong, and Taiwan. Yeah. Nameless, you better be there.
Yeah, well, speaking of Oceania, I believe Nameless did just finish up another Brorios show match after a very long hiatus, if I'm not mistaken. I actually don't remember if that was today or if that's tomorrow, but yeah, Jur versus Miomaika, I believe is what it was.
Really? Oh, I missed that, and I missed that completely. Oh my god.
I almost missed that too, yeah. And then I randomly checked Twitter, I was like, oh, that's happening.
Oh, I'm gonna look this up. I'm very curious as to what's been going on there. But yeah. Shout out to Nameless, of course, a great a great part of our region, of the Oceanic and Southeast Asian region. And yeah, if you did end up casting the Barrier show match, I hope it went well.
Yeah. Hope it wasn't just too one-sided there. I mean, I'm not to put down Craig or anything, not to put down Azure too much or to underestimate Azure, but there is a reason why Mio Mike is called the King of the Sea.
Yeah.
Or the King of Sea.
Definitely. Looks like I'm just catching up here. After a year since the previous show match. Yeah, it actually was tonight, I think. Yeah. Mio Micah versus Azure.
And it was 2.5 hours long, give or take.
Oh my god.
I think that was. Well, I don't remember if it's a best of 7 or a best of 9, but if it was a best of 7, it's a pretty good showing from. That's a pretty good. Pretty good showing, I would imagine, for a best of 7.
Yeah. If you're in the chat and if you were a part of that, then let us know how that went. As apparently it was Azure versus Mio Micah, and it was back to back. It was Azure versus Mio Micah, and then it was Leah Russia versus Mio Micah.
Oh, there were two. There were two series. Oh, that puts things into consideration a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. So if you were tuning into that, let us know. Let us know how that went. I'm sure there were some very entertaining games, and I hope you guys had a great time with that show match. But now we are here continuing with the World Team League Code A run. And game number 2, Radko has picked his map of choice.
Indeed, he has. So it's a little bit of consideration here. But Dragon Scales is going to be the choice. A very fitting map, I would say, to end things off on for Berserker Esports. But regardless, we're going to be jumping into it. We are in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner with our blue Terran player coming out from the land of Slovenia, representing Berserker Esports, Radko.
And in the top left-hand corner from the land of France, representing Platinum Heroes, ShaDoWn.
Oh, that is an SCV that's not just going to be scouting based on this paving.
Yeah, we have an SCV being a little bit cheeky here on the right-hand side of the map. We still have a Rax being thrown down back at home, but we could see a Rax, and then maybe this SCV tries to go for an NG block, or we could see a bunker behind that Nexus. It is a little bit early, though, so yeah, could be going for that block.
Like so. All right, okay. I was hoping for a factory.
I know.
So, John, you can see it in my face a little bit. Like,
I could see the excitement, and I didn't want to break the news to you and take that away from you, Papi. Regardless, we do have that edgy block, so Radko is going to be looking to delay and be a little bit annoying to ShaDoWn. You know, a little bit of a taste of his opponent's medicine. If you remember, Radko had to deal with a pesky probe at the start of game 1. Oh, look at the progress on that NG bay.
Oh, that's a long way, yeah. It's going to take a while before Radko is forced to cancel it.
So does he take the unnatural? Natural, he does!
Might as well, but it does also isolate Radko a little bit if... it does also isolate ShaDoWn a little bit if Radko decides to go for a push later down the line.
Yeah, for those of you who want to be a little bit, want to know the more technical side of things, if the progress of that NG bay is too much, and if it is scouted too late, then it is more efficient for the Protoss player to just go for an unnatural natural expand, basically take your natural somewhere else instead, because it just will take far too long to actually force a cancel on that NG bay. So yeah, ShaDoWn is going to have a really awkward natural base, and that can be abused.
It really can, especially with Marines. That is a second Rax being made, as once again, Radko has skipped the Reaper and gone straight into the reactor. That's a third Rax thrown down, and that's a lot of bio being pumped out.
Let's go, Poppy. We are getting into that 3 Rax opener here from Radko. As you were saying, this can hit really hard. This can hit fast. But if it gets scouted, then it can also be shut down as, we actually have a recall to saturate that that natural.
Might as well, you know. You know, it's going to take a long while for probes to get from that main base into that unnatural natural. So, yeah. they get tired. You know, by the time they get there, they don't want to mine anymore.
Mhm.
Gotta do whatever you can
Yeah, and
to
it's
get
great.
them safe.
It's really great to see the 3-racks coming back a little bit. If you remember, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, we saw this like almost in every series. You know, 3-racks was very popular, very trendy for a time.
Yeah. I think it was around the time that Bjorn came back
Mhm.
from the military.
Yeah.
And that was literally the
All he did.
only thing he did in
Yeah.
TVP. And then all the other Terran players looked at that and were like, well, Bjorn's doing it, so now we gotta do it.
Now we gotta do it. Speaking of, here we go. The first 6 Marines do rock up across map. These are vanilla Marines, but great stutter stepping. The first Stalker goes down. The second Warping In Stalker as well takes a lot of hits.
I think Cure also was the one who popularized that as well. He was less successful with 3-racks, but still committed to it regardless.
Yeah, and this first push of Marines did a decent amount of damage. 4 probes went down and a Stalker, but the problem is that now the jig is up, right? It's like, that was a lot of Marines. I say that, but at the same time, we had a 1-1-1 opener last game, and we also had a pretty comparable amount of Marines, if you remember. So I think this is a good mind game based off of how the series has progressed so far.
Yeah. Radko, he was playing ahead at the start of series. So, yeah, like you said, this could give... This could just throw ShaDoWn off a little bit. He is still getting that Robo Bay, and he should still be getting Colossus after this, but I'm liking this adjustment from ShaDoWn. He notices the Marauders. He recognizes that's a lot more bio than game number 1. Let me just get a safety Immortal real quick.
Yeah, this is a relatively late scout, though. As you said, though, because he sees the Marauders, he knows 100% that it is a 3-racks and it is rushing across the map. ShaDoWn has to try and slow it down, buy time for a Colossus. The Robotics Bay just finished. As you said, Immortal first is crucial here because he needs to make sure he has some units to defend and to buy time for the Colossus.
Yeah, but the bio's already here, the bio's already here, the bio's already here, and Stim is being popped. A very exposed shield battery, despite battery overcharge being popped, it just won't help.
Oh, here we go. We just stim and we win. Every Stalker goes down. The shield battery as well. We have 1 Immortal, but what is 1 Immortal really going to do in this position? Radko, he just ignores it. He goes straight for the Mineral Lion.
GG is called, and Radko will redeem himself a little bit. Unfortunately, Berserker Esports will still be knocked down to that lower bracket match, but at least he goes down. At least he goes down with a bang, as that was a very well thought out and well executed 3-racks coming out from Radko right from the very start with that NG block. I think he just knew what he was going for, and with that, he makes he takes a game.
He does take a game. He does redeem himself. GG. Congratulations to Platinum Heroes for taking the series, but also to Radko and also to Spatz for taking games for Berserker Esports. Taking a game off of ShaDoWn is not easy, and Radko is more of an unknown player, so for him to take a game off of ShaDoWn is amazing. And again, there were so many layers to that build that he did, just because, not just of the NG Bay, but again, because he was working with such a high Marine count in game 1, even though he just went for a single racks for so long, it kind of just sold this story that maybe he's doing that again, maybe it's not a 3-racks, and because of that, the response from ShaDoWn was delayed. It took him a while to really realize what was going on and what his opponent was doing, and by the time he did, it was too late. We saw that Marine Mortar push was able to hit so hard. GG. Proud of Radko. Proud of him.
Yeah, as am I. And yeah, GG's to Platinum Heroes for advancing to the next round here in Code A and for qualifying for Code S. What did we always say? Like, send out MiGs, and Platinum Heroes is guaranteed to win.
Confirmed, mate. Confirmed. We are going to be going on a short break. We're going to be going on a break for 4 minutes. When we return, we will have the second series of the night. It is going to be Invictus Gaming up against Team Abydos.
Oh, we'll see you then. Are they going to play ads?
They don't.